Do you think it's worth getting married in the first year after meeting? Or do I have to wait a little longer? This is a pretty hard choice, especially when you are sure that you will live with this person for the rest of your life. But unfortunately, fate is not always favorable. Sometimes it's better to wait before tying the knot. Luke Wallen was widely regarded as a genuinely pleasant individual. Those acquainted with him would attest to this. He consistently wore a welcoming smile, lent an ear to others' stories, and offered words of encouragement when needed. His sharp wit, dry humor, and keen intellect were well-known traits. However, those close to him also cautioned against provoking him. While he generally had a high threshold for annoyance, when pushed too far, his anger could be formidable. Luke himself acknowledged this, often remarking, "Yeah, I'm working on that." Opting to save money on his college education, Luke chose to work as a machinist while attending evening classes at the community college to pursue his business degree. His long-term aspiration was to establish his own machining enterprise, specializing in crafting precision stainless steel hardware, essential for various medical manufacturing needs. During one of those evening classes, Luke encountered Willow. Yes, you got it right, Willow Larson. Her parents were unconventional, wanting Willow to drift through life and embrace whatever destiny threw her way. However, Willow understood the importance of education in achieving the life she desired. She enrolled in business courses with the aim of entering pharmaceutical sales and earning a substantial income straight out of school. Her sales prowess was undeniable. If her captivating smile and piercing blue eyes didn't captivate you, her grace and striking physique would surely maintain your interest. Luke and Willow crossed paths on a rainy evening after class. Luke offered his umbrella to Willow as they walked to the parking lot. Huddled close, Willow assessed Luke and was impressed by his appearance. A tall, muscular figure with long blonde hair and a hint of red stubble on his beard. "Wow, he's like a Nordic deity," Willow mused to herself as they strolled through the rain. Similarly, Luke found himself enchanted by Willow's alluring voice, infectious smile, engaging personality, and a physique that rivaled any he had seen before. He savored every moment of their walk together, contemplating how to extend the enchantment of this encounter. Little did he know, he had nothing to worry about. By the time they reached Willow's car, she had already arranged a lunch appointment for the following day and extended an invitation to a small happy hour gathering on Friday evening. The lunch confirmed their compatibility in personalities and interests, but it was the electric connection they felt on Friday night that led them to become nearly inseparable, meeting up 4 or 5 times a week. They shared a love for activity, hiking, biking, tennis, kayaking, but simply spending time together, sharing meals, and engaging in passionate, sensual lovemaking late into the night was equally fulfilling. Luke quickly realized that Willow was the one for him, and he was eager to spend his life with her. Willow expressed the same sentiment, and they decided to organize a wedding with the financial support of her parents, opting for a traditional church ceremony followed by a reception for around 100 guests. Complete with an open bar, dinner, a DJ, and dancing, they set their plans in motion. Since Luke's parents lived far away and were on a tight retirement budget, they weren't heavily involved in the preparations, but they did contribute $5,000 towards the bar tab and Luke's tuxedo. Luke invited his older brother Todd to stand as his best man, while his longtime friends Jack Nichols and Dennis Long were also chosen to join his wedding party. Willow selected her best friend Linda Miller, who had become close to Luke as well, to be her maid of honor, alongside Brenda Johnson and Molly Webster. Living just 4 miles away from Luke, Todd was not only his brother, but also his close companion. Standing at a towering 6'4", Todd was a sturdy mason, keeping himself in top shape by lifting and placing bricks, masonry, and landscape blocks throughout his workday. With his wife Evie expecting their second child, Todd urged Luke to visit him after work. As Luke arrived on his Harley, Todd greeted him with a baby monitor in hand, jesting about the motorcycle being a potential hazard. "Hey Luke, how's it going? You planning to part ways with that death trap motorcycle after tying the knot? Wouldn't want Willow to be stuck caring for a vegetable for the rest of your married life now, would we?" All right, old timer. Let's hold off on the motorcycle intervention for now. I rely on it for stress relief, especially since Willow and her parents are going bonkers over these wedding arrangements. I rarely get a say, and I'm mostly kept in the dark about the plans. All I know is I'm backing the open bar while they handle everything else. Well, except for our tuxedos. Speaking of which, have you been measured yet? You're probably a special order unless they've recently dressed a football team. Ha ha ha, funny kid. I'll get measured next week. Meanwhile, I'm still brainstorming ideas for your extravagant bachelor party with Dennis and Jack. So how's everything going with Luke and Willow on the love front? Everything is fine, and the closeness has been amazing lately. Willow just can't seem to get enough. She explains this by nervousness before the wedding, claiming that intimacy is her main relaxation. Who am I to argue with that? Wow, that's too much information. I found myself in a difficult situation. I have to deal with a 2-year-old child who constantly interrupts me, and with a wife who is 8 months pregnant who is experiencing tension. I don't need to hear about your bed life right now. I can barely stand on my feet. If I'm lucky, I can be very close to my wife if she doesn't get tired. Hey Todd, it's definitely TMI. You just crossed the line of what any guy who's getting married wants to hear. But hey, don't worry, there's only 18 years left, and you'll be home alone, and you can bring back your youth with your wife, like Willow and I did last weekend. That's enough, buddy. Here, do something useful. Todd handed him the 2-piece baby monitor he had brought with him. This damn thing doesn't work anymore. I put in new batteries, so I'm not sure what the problem is. But since you can fix almost anything, I decided to ask you before buying a new one. No problem. I'm coming home early now. There's probably no one there yet, so I can take a look at it right now. Lukey rode away on his Harley and up, and reaching the 2-bedroom house he and Willow rented together, he maneuvered the motorcycle back into the garage, parking it under the rear eave in anticipation of the forecasted rain. Entering the house aware that Willow hadn't returned yet, he plugged the base monitor into the wall and descended into the basement, where he had a modest workbench arranged. There he examined the handheld receptor and promptly identified the issue, a broken wire solder joint leading to the speaker. Within 5 minutes, Luke had it resoldered and functioning again. As Luke wrapped up his tasks, he caught the sound of the door opening upstairs through the baby monitor. Recognizing Willow's voice as she entered, he could sense she was on the phone. Listening in through the monitor, he could hear her end of the conversation clearly and knew the issue had been resolved satisfactorily. He was about to head upstairs when he overheard Willow say, "Dennis, Luke isn't home and probably won't be for about an hour. How about you pick me up and take me somewhere where we can be intimate?" With the wedding approaching rapidly, our chances to spend time together are limited, so can you hurry over and tend to my needs? Luke couldn't make out Dennis' words, but what Willow said hit him like a ton of bricks, robbing him of breath and strength. His legs buckled, and he collapsed to the ground. This can't be true. How could she be looking to cheat on me with a supposed good friend just 4 weeks before our wedding? I hate it. His attention returned to their conversation when he heard Willow continue. "No, Dennis, I'm not ruling out that we can do this after the wedding. I just need time to think about everything. Right now, I'm not against us doing this because we're not in love with each other. It's just a physical attraction, and I'm allowing myself a little freedom at the last minute before the wedding. But if we do decide to continue after I get married, it has to be prudent and safe because I can't risk Lukey finding out. It would ruin everything for him and probably destroy him, and I can't bear to hurt him like that. I love him too much." After a prolonged silence, Willow remarked, "All right, Dennis, I'll meet you outside. Swing by in that gorgeous classic Mustang of yours, and we can have another rendezvous in the backseat. I'm eager to pleasure you once more." With that, he heard Willow dash out the door. He couldn't believe what he had just heard. The future he had envisioned with Willow filled with lasting love, children, and mutual growth suddenly crumbled before him. It was inconceivable to him that Willow could already be unfaithful, especially at such a pivotal moment in their relationship, marked by engagement, a time when passion typically peaks. He thought to himself, "Just wait until she gets tired of me. She'll be off with other men every week. There's no way I'm living like that with no trust in the woman I love. He ascended the stairs leisurely, and from the front window he spotted his ex-friend, Dennis Long, pulling up in his red Mustang. Willow, with a squeal, darted towards the car, hopped into the passenger seat, and planted a kiss on him before they sped off down the block. Filled with fury, Luke dashed to the garage, snatched a tire iron, darted behind it, mounted his Harley, and joined the street, trailing them at a safe distance. They navigated several intersections before hitting a county highway leading out of town. Approximately 4 miles beyond the town limits, there sprawled a vast park with undulating hills and a lake featuring various parking lots. Luke and his comrades were well acquainted with a secluded lot, tucked away from view, shielded by trees on 3 sides, and accessible via a road curving around the wooded area. Luke presumed that was Dennis's destination. Luke pulled over to the side of the road and waited for about 10 minutes, trying to calm down and give them a chance to start so he could watch how far his unfaithful bride would go. Then he drove to the turnoff leading to the parking lot, parked his bike, and drove through the trees surrounding the parking lot until he reached the place where Dennis parked. Taking out his camera, he started filming and quietly walked to the back of the car. He could hear Willow cheating on him. They were very distinct sounds. Picking up the phone, he filmed out the window as Willow paused her actions and exclaimed, "Do it, Dennis, I want it." Luke flew into a rage, jumped to his feet, and looking out the window, roared, "You're out of your mind." Willow was lying on her back and Dennis was on top, but Luke's outburst interrupted them. Willow opened her eyes, pleading, "Oh my God, no, no, Dennis, stop. This is wrong. You can't do that." Luke didn't believe Willow's feeble attempts to make it look like it was all an accident. Meanwhile, Dennis was talking to Luke through the window. "Luke, dude, this is not what you think. There's nothing wrong with that. She loves you, not me. Just harmless entertainment before the wedding." Luke exploded with a painful burst of emotion, screamed and waving the tire iron over his head, smashed the rear window. Dennis moved to open the door, but Luke's shout made him freeze in place. "If you open this door and go out, you're in trouble." Dennis saw the madness in Luke's eyes and realized that he was risking his life by getting out of the car. Without hesitation, Luke walked around the car, smashing all the windows in his path. The safety glass shattered and sparkled in the sun, scattering like shrapnel. With every step he took, he tore off the side mirrors and smashed the headlights. When he reached the other side, he ran the tire iron over the surface of the car, peeling the ruby red paint to bare metal. When he got to the rear side window, he smashed it again with a tire iron. Dennis tried to slip away, but Luke forcefully opened the door, grabbed Dennis by the hair, and pulled him out of the car. Raising his hand, Luke delivered a powerful blow. When Dennis bent over in pain, he received another good blow to the jaw. Willow, huddled as far away from the open door as possible in the back seat, looked at Luke with a mixture of fear and guilt. She begged him through her sobs, "Please, Luke, stop. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. It doesn't mean anything. Please. We need to stay strong. Get through this and get married, baby. I only love you. Dennis is just a toy. He really doesn't mean anything to me. Come on, baby. Take me home, and I'll prove to you that you're the only one I love." Luke's expression twisted in disgust as he looked at her, then shifted his gaze to Dennis. "You're a disgrace. Willow, and you, Dennis, are no better. To think that you're betraying me like this, sleeping with my fiancée, pretending to be a friend worthy of standing next to me at my wedding. Well, you are deeply mistaken. I never want to see either of you again, or I'll make sure you regret it. And you, damn it," he spat, his voice dripping with contempt. "How could you do this to me? I believe that our love was indestructible, but obviously it was all a lie. I can't look at you right now. Stay away from me." Willow recoiled, tears streaming down her face as she pleaded, "Luke, please don't leave. Let me explain. I love you. I'm yours. Please don't leave me, God, please." Luke had just declared, "Yeah, it really seems like you're the woman I love. Spare me your excuses, Willow." He then strode back across the parking lot to his motorcycle and rode away. Glancing back, he witnessed Willow on her knees, hands covering her face, crying. Meanwhile, Dennis remained sprawled on the ground amidst the shattered glass and paint chips from his cherished Mustang. Luke sped off, his destination unknown, simply letting the Harley tear down the road at breakneck speed. Eventually, he gained control over his emotions, and hours later found himself at his brother's house. Upon hearing the Harley's arrival, Todd opened the door to find Luke sitting on the steps, curled up and weeping as if his world had just crumbled. As Luke relayed the tale to Todd, the imposing figure sat down and draped his arm around his younger sibling, remarking, "Wow, that's really tough, buddy. I never would have imagined that happening in a million years. It's baffling how we misjudged Willow's character so completely that we failed to see this betrayal coming. I'm truly sorry, Luke, and if I cross paths with Dennis, I'll make sure he pays for what he did, especially since you already dealt with him once. But I suppose we should be grateful you discovered this now rather than years into the marriage. It's better to call off the wedding than endure a messy divorce later on, especially if children were involved. Dodging a bullet is much better than taking a direct hit. So what's your plan now?" "Well, one thing's certain. There's no point in getting measured for the tux, and I'll relay the same to Jack. I suppose I'll ring up the folks and advise them to cancel their flight. I'd refuse to marry someone who's already cheating on me before we even say I do. I'd bet that marriage has a 100% chance of being a disaster, and I won't waste years of my life worrying whether my wife is off with someone else convincing myself it's okay because it's just physical and not emotional. What a load of nonsense." Luke's phone rang, displaying Willow's name along with several missed calls and a voicemail. There was also a missed call from an unknown number. He rejected Willow's call, which went to voicemail, and as he was about to put his phone away, he received another call from the unfamiliar number. Answering cautiously, he asked, "What's up? Is this Luke Wallen?" "Yeah, who's asking?" "Lieutenant Gerard from the 4th Precinct. We've received a complaint of assault and property damage from a Dennis Long, alleging you as the perpetrator. You need to come down to the precinct within the next 30 minutes, or I'll issue a warrant for your arrest and an APB. A patrol car is already stationed outside your residence. It's in your best interest to cooperate and come in for questioning." Luke glanced at Todd and silently mouthed, "Oh no, I'm in trouble," before addressing the police, saying, "Okay, Lieutenant, I'll be there in 30 minutes. Should I have a lawyer present? You'll likely be seeing a judge today, and it's up to you whether you want legal representation. However, given the extent of the car's damage and the fact that your friend is hospitalized with his jaw wired shut, I suspect you'll need a lawyer. If you have one, bring them to the station. If not, one will be appointed for you by the county. But don't delay." Hearing the conversation, Todd reached for his phone and dialed his friend Mikey, who he knew from school and their shared softball team. "Mikey, my brother is facing charges of assault and property damage. He'll be at the 4th Precinct in 30 minutes. Can you come and represent him?" Todd nodded at Luke as he ended the call and remarked, "Mikey will be there, and I'll come to your rescue once they sort out the situation. Just let Mikey handle the talking. Stay calm like a breeze, and hopefully you'll avoid jail time. You should have just taken the video and walked away, leaving revenge for a better plan. But I get it. If I were you, I might have snapped and wrecked Dennis and his car. So I won't dwell on what ifs. We're here now and need to deal with it." The next morning, Todd fetched his brother from jail. Luke had spent the night behind bars and appeared before the judge in the morning. As expected, Luke was told to post a $10,000 bail bond or remain in custody. Mikey advised Luke to speak with Dennis, apologize, and cover the damages and hospital fees. But Luke vehemently refused. Luke returned home to find that Willow was no longer there. He proceeded to gather all his belongings, including clothes, toiletries, CDs, and his stereo system, and relocated them to the guest bedroom at his brother's house. Before leaving, he also took the baby monitor, remarking to his brother, "It's been working perfectly. Perhaps it was my lucky charm, preventing me from making a big life error." A week later, Luke had yet to respond to any of Willow's calls or voicemails. He winced at the variety and foolishness of her messages, where she recycled the same tired excuses and downplayed the seriousness of the situation. Initially, she claimed that Dennis had taken advantage of her and that she had only intended to kiss and make out with him one last time before fully committing to Luke as a loving wife. However, he knew that was nonsense from hearing their original phone conversation. In another call, she insisted that Dennis meant nothing to her, but admitted to having dated him in the past. She expressed confusion and concern about spending the rest of her life with one man, suggesting that she wanted to have one last fling to say goodbye to her bachelor life, and assured Luke that she would never cheat on him once they were married. He didn't buy into that excuse either. In her last voicemail, she pleaded, "Luke, our wedding is only 3 weeks away. Please, Luke, we need to talk and sort this out. I love you, Luke, and I'm deeply sorry for what I've done and how I've hurt you. It hurts me too, Luke, because I can't bear to lose you. I've learned from my mistake, and I promise I'll never betray you again. But please, Luke, let's not throw away our love. We need to move past this and go through with the wedding." Luke felt sick hearing that, but he realized he owed it to her, and especially her parents, to have one final discussion about canceling or at least postponing the wedding. Despite his love for her, he struggled with the decision to end things for good or possibly give their relationship another chance. Regardless, the wedding in 3 weeks was off the table. While he was wondering how to approach her, the sound of Todd's doorbell interrupted his thoughts. Luke was stunned to see Molly in the doorway but invited her in. Upon hearing the news, she quickly hugged him, expressing her condolences. Taking a step back, he took a moment to observe her appearance. Molly was wearing the shortest shorts he had ever seen. Sighing, Luke invited her to go to the backyard and talk. When they sat down at the picnic table, he asked, "Did Willow tell you about what happened?" And she told you the truth. "Luke, Willow adores you deeply, and she's in a lot of pain right now. She is devastated by the thought that her actions could have hurt you and jeopardized the wonderful future she sees with you. I'm here on her behalf to make amends. She wants you to experience one last moment for yourself, so that both of you can feel balanced and go to the wedding without lingering resentments. At her request, I am here to make sure that you have fully repaid and are satisfied. And Luke, I'm really glad about it." With that, Molly winked and emphasized her curves. However, she completely misinterpreted the situation. Luke was fuming because Willow had the audacity to ask Molly to sleep with him, thinking that everything would go back to normal. He was also deeply disappointed that Molly agreed, but she didn't seem to mind. Despite his inner turmoil, Luke smiled at her. "Molly, let me get us a beer. I'll be right back." Luke left, thinking about how he could turn this situation to his advantage. When he returned with the beer, he took a sip and thought about a plan that he could carry out with Molly. "Molly, I don't think this is going to solve my problems right now. One of the main problems I'm facing is the upcoming trial, which is only a few weeks away. Most likely, I will end up in prison either before or after the wedding. Besides, the honeymoon is canceled because I was ordered not to leave the city. You've heard about the assault charges and what I did to Dennis and his car, right? Oh yeah, Willow mentioned that you've turned into a real Rambo." It really shocked her. No one could have predicted that you would lose your temper like this. It's just not like you. Yes, I let my pain and anger get out of control, but maybe you and Willow could help me. She'll do her best, and I'm here for you too. Well, Molly, here's the thing. My lawyer offered Dennis a settlement, offering to cover his car expenses and hospital bills if he dropped the charges. He basically told my lawyer to go to hell, but maybe you or Willow could convince him to accept the offer. Perhaps if you had offered yourself to him, he would have agreed to drop the charges. It would really help me. Do you think you could do that, Molly? If Willow objects, then maybe she really loves Dennis, and it's over between us anyway. What do you think about it? God, I'd rather be with you than with that jerk Dennis, but if it helps reconcile you and Willow, then of course I'll do it. I've always been curious to get to know him better. Willow spoke so highly of him." Luke winced at the remark, though it spoke volumes. Nevertheless, he rose abruptly, embraced her, planted a kiss on her cheek, and urged her to keep him posted. With that, he messaged Willow, informing her that Molly would brief her on his idea to propel them forward, and requested her feedback on its outcome. Meanwhile, at home, Willow confided in her longtime friend Linda about the precarious state of the wedding. Linda, Willow's companion since 4th grade, empathized deeply with her plight but couldn't shake her resentment towards her friend. Having grown close to Luke over the years, she considered him one of her closest confidants too. Linda exploded in fury. "Willow, how could you betray Luke like that? I understand you have a promiscuous streak, but you assured me you'd stop sleeping around once you were engaged. And now you're claiming you'll stop once you're married. Honestly, I doubt your sincerity. How is Luke supposed to trust you?" "Oh, come on, Linda. It was just a meaningless fling to ease pre-wedding nerves. I'll admit I panicked at the thought of monogamy for life, so I did something stupid. But sleeping with Dennis meant nothing to me. Or so I thought until I saw how much it hurt Luke." Linda, who had known Willow for over 15 years, felt that Willow wasn't really focused on Luke, but as usual was more worried about herself. She felt bad about being caught, about Luke getting into trouble and hurting Dennis, but she didn't feel any remorse for her actions. Linda thought to herself, "You don't deserve a wonderful person like Luke." Despite this, she restrained her thoughts, and at that moment Molly ran into the room. Molly told Willow about Luke's plan, and after a short discussion, they decided to go ahead and try to convince Dennis to accept the plan. Willow remarked, "Molly, you're going to have to deal with him yourself, because Luke would never let me do this again." Molly replied, "No problem, I'll try can crazy." Willow turned to Linda and suggested, "Linda, it seems you'll need to be the one to sleep with Luke. That way he'll feel we're on equal footing, and I'll have the chance to persuade him that our past mistakes are behind us, and we can move forward into a happy married life. Would you do this for me, Linda? You're my maid of honor and my oldest friend, and I'd do the same for you if roles were reversed." With reluctance, Linda agreed, but on the condition that Dennis drop the charges, allowing the wedding to proceed. Within 48 hours, Molly and Dennis had done their job, and Dennis dropped the charges. Willow persistently tried to call Luke, leaving voice messages in which she claimed credit for the successful implementation of the plan, and begged him for forgiveness, urging him to resume preparations for the wedding. She also wanted Linda to lure her future husband into bed. Luke didn't know what to do next. He understood that it would be unwise to marry Willow in such a situation, but he still felt some affection for her and sought reconciliation. Moreover, he was tormented by guilt over the possible financial losses that her family would have suffered from the wedding donations if he had canceled the plans. "Damn," Luke muttered to himself. "I need to hear her side of the story and understand why she betrayed me like that." Reluctantly, he suppressed his anger as much as he could and dialed her number. "Luckily, Luke, you reached out to me. Darling, I deeply regret what you witnessed and my actions. Please understand, Luke, it has nothing to do with you. You are my ideal partner, and I adore you endlessly. I yearn to be your devoted wife forever. I realize you're hurt, but can we move past this, reconcile, and move forward together? Willow, I'm aware this isn't the first time you've been unfaithful. Why did you do it? How many men? How many occasions? Doesn't our love and commitment, especially now that we're engaged, mean anything to you? Seriously, Willow, how can I ever trust you again? Luke, I'm ashamed to admit it's happened more than once with Dennis, but it meant nothing to me. It was merely a farewell to my single, carefree days and experimenting before our marriage. I won't repeat it, Luke, I swear. You're everything to me, and no one else compares to the way you make me feel when we're together. You have no reason to doubt me. I've learned my lesson, my love. Willow, that's the problem. I'm trying my best to trust you. How could you betray me like that? You claim to love me, but you're actually dating someone else. What happens when you get bored in our marriage? How will I feel when you come home late for the first time without any explanation? I just don't understand how this can work. Luke, my meetings with other men mean nothing compared to my love for you. I want to be with you. It shouldn't bother you. It's a purely physical attraction, and it doesn't change what we have. It's just a momentary relief, and then I come back to you, my love. Please come home, and I will prove my love to you and show you what life can be like, that we can live together. Willow, you're not making this any easier. It looks like you're not going to stop. Are you suggesting an open marriage? Luke, I want to be with you. If we agreed to an open marriage, that would be fine with me. But I really want to be with you. If you refuse and we get married, I will be devoted to you and only to you. I promise. Willow, you're ruining me. You betrayed my trust and love. I feel like my heart has been ripped out and thrown away. Right now, I'm so confused that every time I think about you, I imagine how you cheated on me. How does this fit in with our wedding vows? And how many times, how many more times, no matter what you say, I probably won't believe it. Damn it, Willow, I need to leave before I explode with anger and say something I'll regret later. I'll call you later. You've given me something to think about. Luke hung up the phone and went outside to get some fresh air, feeling completely confused. Willow's talk of a free marriage made it clear to him that there would be no trust or fidelity between them. And in the end, she would cheat on him if they got married. It was not at all what he had imagined in marriage, and he could not believe that Willow had deceived him like that. With only a few weeks left before the wedding, he finally began to understand her true character and personality. Amidst his descent into a pit of anger and despair, he received a call from Linda. Luke, I'm heading over to Todd's place shortly. Want to join me for a ride? He sighed, assuming it was another attempt to reunite him with Willow. However, Linda had become one of his closest confidants, and he felt compelled to confide in her and seek her perspective. Sure, Linda, I'll be there in a moment. He climbed into her car, and as they pulled away from the curb and began driving, he poured out the whole troubling narrative of recent events, showing her the video and expressing his confusion and distress over how to proceed. Linda pulled into a grocery store parking lot, parked at a distance from other cars, switched off the engine, and turned to look at Luke. Luke, I need to talk to you about something, so please just listen to me. First of all, I immensely appreciate our friendship and deeply respect you for the kind of person you are. Willow is making a huge mistake by betraying you. She's selfish and doesn't think about anyone but herself. She's counting on your forgiveness no matter what she does. She even asked me to sleep with you to even the score between the two of you. Damn it, Linda. I can't believe this is actually happening. Luke started to open the car door, but Linda screamed. Luke, you promised to listen, so please give me a chance. He nodded, closed the door, and turned to face her. All right, Linda, explain to me how you think you can convince me that Willow and I are on equal terms. Luke, I disclosed that to you because you deserve to know what Willow was attempting to persuade me to do. However, rest assured, I would never betray you in that manner. I hold too much respect for you for myself and for our friendship to engage in such a shallow, unethical scheme to reunite you two. To be honest, I don't wish for you to reconcile with Willow. Luke, she'll only end up breaking your heart, and I can't bear to witness you suffer like that. My feelings for you go beyond mere friendship. I believe I might love you. I'm not confessing this to make a move on you. I simply want to ensure you understand how special you are. There will be other women after Willow, if not me, then someone else who will recognize what an incredible person you are. I'm telling you this so you can envision the potential of your future as opposed to what it would be with Willow. Luke, she's been unfaithful to you throughout your entire relationship, not just with Dennis. To her, sleeping with others is trivial, like having a drink or dancing with someone else. She cares for you, but she'll never love you the way you deserve because she won't change. She'll continue to cheat and lie, expecting forgiveness if caught, and repeating the cycle. Luke, it's time to prioritize your own well-being, not Willow, her family, or the wedding guests. It's about you. And remember, I'll stand by you, supporting whatever choice you make. She ignited the car engine, and they proceeded silently to Todd's house. Upon arrival, she left him with these words: choose wisely, Luke, and have faith that there's someone out there who can love you as you deserve. Luke noticed tears welling in her eyes as he shut the car door, and she drove away, 2 hours later, Luke was refining an email while reviewing the list of 100 wedding guests. He titled the email, "Important Update Regarding the Wedding of Luke Wallen and Willow Larson." He penned, "Dear beloved friends, family, and cherished wedding guests. Some time ago we joyously dispatched invitations to our wedding, announcing the eternal bond of love and dedication between Willow and myself. We invited you to celebrate with us as we embarked on our journey together, as not only partners in love, but also as each other's confidants, best friends, and lifelong companions. That, at least, was my understanding of marriage. However, it has recently come to my attention that Willow holds a different perspective. It pains me to reveal that Willow's inclination leans towards open relationships, a fact she never disclosed to me. To my shock and chagrin, I discovered that Willow not only cheated with one of my close friends and best man, Dennis Long, but also maintained romantic relationships with several other people during our courtship and engagement. Regrettably, I stumbled upon Willow and Dennis in a compromising situation, and though I possessed evidence of their infidelity, I choose not to expose them or degrade myself by sharing it. Yet the betrayal I witnessed is seared into my memory, an indelible mark of deceit and disloyalty. These encounters were not mere flirtations or innocent embraces, but rather explicit acts of physical intimacy, devoid of any consideration for the sanctity of our relationship. It has become evident to me that Willow does not hold genuine love for me, at least not in the manner I believe I deserve. I firmly believe that a life partner should honor, cherish, and uphold the love we share as a sacred treasure, being transparent and faithful in their dealings with me, and offering only the emotional and physical intimacy that strengthens the bond of marriage. It has always been my sincere intention to provide such devotion and more to my life partner. It's evident that Willow and I are not meant to be together. With a mix of regret and relief, I must announce the cancellation of our engagement, relationship, and wedding. Regret stems from losing someone I deeply cared for, had she reciprocated. Relief comes from realizing Willow's incompatible views on relationships early on, sparing myself from potential years of turmoil. I'm grateful to have avoided a disastrous marriage. I extend my apologies to Willow's family, who likely remain unaware of her true nature and recent actions leading to this decision. Willow should be the one apologizing to them and everyone involved. I deeply regret having to deliver this news in such a manner, especially considering the kindness her family showed me. However, I believe it's crucial for Willow to learn the importance of honesty and accountability. I refuse to be portrayed as the villain who abandoned the marriage, hence why I'm setting the record straight. To all those fortunate enough to be in a loving and respectful marriage, I deeply admire what you share and aspire to find such a connection one day myself. For those who are single or just starting out in relationships, stay vigilant and choose your partner wisely. And when you feel you've found the right person, shower them with your respect, love, trust, and dedication. Warm regards, Luke Wallen. As anticipated, chaos ensued shortly after the email was sent out. Willow's parents angrily called Luke, threatening to sue him to recover the down payments for the wedding arrangements. Luke retorted, "You raised Willow to believe that intimacy and fidelity have no meaning in marriage? Is this how you conduct yourselves in your own marriage? And are you proud of Willow's behavior? Perhaps it's you or Willow who should take responsibility for the wedding's breakdown and the financial consequences, but it certainly shouldn't fall on me." That appeared to settle the argument, at least within her family. Willow inundated Luke with a series of nasty emails, chastising him for his immaturity and stubbornness, and contending that true love would overcome such obstacles. However, she also made it clear that she wanted nothing more to do with him. Feeling deeply humiliated and embarrassed, she told him to go to hell. Consequently, she lost the respect of her family and friends, and instead of attracting serious suitors interested in relationships, she only attracted those seeking casual, fleeting encounters, essentially one-night stands. Molly later confessed to Luke that Willow had begun to realize the depth of her loss because of him, having exchanged sincere love for a senseless affair. Dennis faced his fair share of confrontations around town whenever he encountered Todd or one of Luke's friends. He was ostracized by his core group of friends and acquaintances, and the last anyone heard, he had relocated out west. Luke faced numerous instances of embarrassment, resentment, and uncomfortable discussions stemming from the email he distributed and his handling of the cancellation of the wedding. However, amidst the turmoil, Luke found solace in the unwavering support of his family, who praised his growth as a person, particularly upon learning of his refusal of Willow's proposition for reconciliation through intimate relations with her bridesmaid. Yet, the most significant development was Luke's burgeoning relationship with Linda, who, like him, was ostracized by Willow, albeit mutually. Initially, Luke and Linda leaned on each other as friends to navigate the emotional aftermath of losing a partner and a close friend. Over time, their bond evolved into a profound love and commitment, one that they both deserved. There is no doubt that their marriage will be resilient and enduring, characterized by a deep-seated trust and loyalty. Their journey together promises a life filled with love, sharing, and unwavering devotion, growing stronger with each passing day. Thanks to everyone who took the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share your thoughts on the events in the comments below. Take care.